Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to another podcast episode where we are exploring the observation of life, observing without judgment or interference, just observing it as it is. And today's topic is going to be how we perceive a speaker and how we define what a good speaker is or what a bad speaker is. And let's just start there with good and bad. Good and bad are really the same side of the same coin. There can't be the one without the other. So technically, there is no good or bad. Now, saying it like this always wakes up a lot of question in one's mind into, of course, there's bad actions but it is from moment to moment. So it always depends on the situation and the circumstances. And since we can't see into the future and we don't really know truly, even if we would calculate that a situation is bad, if we would have find out that in the future this person will become horrible and hurt even more people, we would probably reconsider it, for an example. So every time we say that this human being is more worthy than that one, or animals should go first, or whatever it is that we conceive to be good or bad, we don't know the outcome. So therefore, the opposite is one and the same. And it takes different layers of understanding to why it is in such a way. And I found in my own experience that when we have grown to an understanding, there's a new layer, a new perspective available to us. And depending on how loving and open and non-judgment you are prone to receive more such insights. Now, awakening goes into different layers, and I can only go from my experience that started from 2018, where there was a switch. I didn't change as a person. I didn't have less problems. If I should say, I probably had more problems than I've ever had. But there was a difference in the approach of them and understanding them, and the way that I was accepting it all. Instead of rejecting it and refusing, I would accept that my body is in pain right now and I want to do a lot of things, but I'm not able to. And can I sit with that and feel all of those emotions that arise in that, which is very difficult because as human beings, we just want to run away from the feelings, run away from the problems. It's just built in our system like that. So I wasn't judging myself, nor would I judge anyone else for that matter, because it's a natural process that happens within us. It's biological in our body. It's nothing that we can stop and control. It's patterns that take time, so to speak. And as I grew into this understanding and acceptance, I didn't have less problems. It was more difficult. But I had this joy and freedom. I wasn't attached to what was happening. I was completely free from everything that I thought before what life was. Just felt like a sleeping state, like an autopilot mode where I wasn't controlling how my reality was supposed to be, nor was I judging that it was like that, because it was a purpose. The divine knows when we're ready to wake up and when it is our time. So I couldn't wake up earlier, if you can even say that in that way. But if there was a way to say it more simply, and I love to share things very, very simply on this channel. I don't want to overcomplicate it because, it's the opposite. It's something that is so complicated, but at the same time, it's the most simplest thing ever. That's why the opposite is actually one and the same, as in this situation. Something that's very simple and yet so complicated. Sometimes it's easy to simplify it. Sometimes it's complicated to even say it. So when we're listening to someone, when someone is sharing their experiences, or I have this podcast on different platforms, but I started it first on YouTube. And so the journey from there is, I just wanted to let the world see how it looks when it's messy, because we sometimes we want it to be perfect. That's how we are. That's how we are trained in our society. We want it to be super clean, super perfect. And it's not that perfection isn't satisfying to everyone. It's that we need to understand, I've said this analogy many times, and it's Mother Nature has shown me so simple thing, yet I could never see it before. That the leaves, the trees, and there's things that are dying and living, and there's just, when everything is being left alone, like in nature, you don't get stressed out in nature, but it looks like a mess, really. If you had it in your house, it looks like a mess, because that's exactly how we're conditioned. When we have our house and everything, we see the mess because it's not organic, it's not natural, it's forced there, it's messing with all of our patterns and belief system, what we believe it's beautiful and what we like and dislike, and it's just connecting to this person. And in nature, there's no judgment. A tree doesn't judge another tree. Everything just is naturally, and everything has this natural, beautiful, like the Tao speaks of it, like a water, like a flow, like nature. It just simply is the way that it is. It's not forced, but we humans force sometimes things to be in a certain way, and that's why it can never be perfect. We just keep on perfecting it, and we're suffering in the process. While in nature, where everything is naturally, the animals are natural, nobody suffers. Everything is free there. And if we can use that analogy, that with the mess, that's the kind of perfection we need to see in ourselves. We need to see ourselves more as a forest. And sometimes we will have these leaves that are brown, and they're not pretty anymore, and they're just on the ground, but they're actually helping millions of small insects to actually reproduce themselves, to live, to have shelter and warmth. So the same way, when we see something in us that feels like it's gray, it's not colorful, so it's not useful, it actually is in a different way. And just as a human body, it's just, we have so much bacteria. we are a colony. The whole body is just a lot of cells and a lot of bacteria. So you're never really alone, not even in your physical body. And it's beautiful when even science can tie that into nature and how everything works, that we are all the same in that sense. And I'm branching out very far now, but to bring it back to the reason of the start of the channel was to show this rawness of how does it really work? How does it work to when you start something? And I wanted to be at service. That was what my heart said. We want to be at service in the best way possible, because it felt like a blessing. It felt like a blessing, and a blessing needs to be shared. Every gift that we have within us is not a gift for us. It's something that we need to share. It felt like an obligation that you cannot have a gift and not share it with the world. And if one can come from such difficulties, and I was very, very naive, so much naive that I'll let the most horriblest thing happen to me. But in my unconscious states, I would have never experienced those extremes and those lessons I learned by being like that. And even now, I still have this childlike sense. I'm this little girl, and sometimes just wanders off in love and wanders off too far, where I need to protect myself here. I need to bring myself back, because we're human and we're here to learn and to grow. And I don't mind sharing my weaknesses also here, because this channel is a lot of sharing, and I never wanted to be open, or I really closed down everything after my awakening. I didn't even want to have internet or do anything with it, because it just caused so many programs and pressures and unnecessary belief system. And I just wanted to get rid of everything. I didn't want to pile up some more. But this obligation was calling me. So I started using these different tools and to help others. And I'm so happy that it reached out to people, and that people are actually benefiting from it. It really, I'm just as honored to be able to give that as the receiver is to receive. So it's no one there to take credit for it. It's very strange to explain it like that, but it really isn't. And what I want to say with all of this is that we all have our patterns, belief system, and sometimes we can see a human being perform very well, and we can get impressed. But we forget that we all have different aspects, meaning that sometimes we can be amazed of another human being's abilities, that they can do that. And then we can get very disappointed when we see something that's so off to what we've seen from that person. And I really want you all that are listening and getting guidance from different speakers and just different perspectives, to just be open to more. Don't limit yourself of saying, oh, this is too weird, I don't want to hear it. Like, be open. Why do I feel like this is strange? Because truly, the more perspective you can grasp, there's nothing that you can hear that will be strange. If the analytical mind doesn't enter and start to dissect everything, and again, the mind is always basing on its experience from the past, so it can never come fresh. It needs to be the heart and the soul first, and then the mind can step in and say, but we still need to see everything in freshness. Otherwise, we're just seeing it from colored eyeglasses that we didn't have. in the same way. So if we can keep our heart open so that we can actually see the truth of what it is, we will find out that the truth will constantly change. It will never stay the same. And I say this because many people are awakening and going through, and we want to look at this perfect, not even gurus, not even people that are so enlightened can be perfect all around. We all have these different things, and that is okay. You're not supposed to take everything from everyone. That means that you will actually copy them completely, and then that's the moment you will realize you're not your authentic self. Because your authentic self will just take parts of everything. Just as you're listening now, I hope you're not taking everything with you. And that might sound strange why I will put it like that, but I truly do hope that you don't take everything, because you need to take what resonates in your heart, what pieces you need to know, what drew you to this channel, what drew you to just listen to these words right now. Why are you here right now listening to these words? And what do you feel in your heart? What resonates? What do you feel in your gut? Like something strikes a chord. That is what you should take with you. And the rest you should just admire from far, another part of you that is expressing itself. So it's teaching you something about yourself that you didn't know. And that might be strange, that how can someone else be a part of me? But we are all one and the same. We're all in the mind. We share everything the same. Everything. We're just different expressions of the one, of the source of love. And we're in different conscious levels of that. And we have different programming, different patterns. Some people just live through their own trauma when they were young. Some like to say trauma, some get very triggered by hearing the word trauma, but we all have had extreme experiences. I mean, everyone that's living right now and that has lived, no matter if you're 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, and so forth, all of us have extreme experiences that happened to us, because that was the time of extreme experiences. No one can say I wasn't touched by it, because that would be to deny. But most of us have this program as in, we don't need any help. We are good. We don't have any trauma, because that says that we're weak or we're strange. But the truth is we all have trauma. And actually the strongest ones are those that admit to that and that are dealing and handling and cleaning out that trauma. Because that trauma that's been stored since young age, all of those extreme memories, they keep on reflecting out into the external. So we see a person and we act to them based on our trauma. So I see a lot of people reflecting to me their own trauma, and I don't take it personally. I understand nothing is really personal at all. I really don't take anything at heart or personal that happens, because I know that they're just reflecting their own trauma. But it's still difficult to see, because if you're an empath and you're loving, of course you want to help. But I really want to emphasize this too, because I know that there are many that are empaths in my channel. And I want to tell you all that it's very, very difficult to encounter people that are cruel in that way, that are not understanding, because some people get hurt and then they decide to hurt others. So they didn't learn the lesson of understanding it in a different way. It's these people in the old world are more when they got hurt, they start hurting. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult for a soul to decide, wow, this was horrible, what happened here. And I'm going to leave this situation by being healed and come out stronger and better and treat others even better. It's very hard. Like it takes a strong soul to get through that, because most people go, okay, that was hurtful, that was horrible, and then they just start hurting others. Nobody's gonna hurt me like that before, and they don't even consciously see that they're hurting others in the same way they got hurt. And it's very sad, and that's the journey they need to be on. That's the journey that they need to understand. So it's not even going into it like that. And I will speak in this podcast very freely of this observation that is entering, and especially this talk felt very, very free. And I just have this urge to talk about how we see others. But I want to finish by saying here, for those that are empaths, please be kind to yourself. And it's very beautiful to be at service and to help. And sometimes we can be put in a situation where it's very, very difficult. There's many that need healing. And they can start to use and abuse the kindness. This is what happens. This has happened many times, but in every scenario, every time it happens, I've grown stronger and had a deeper understanding, not both for the ones that I encounter as an energy of the others, and understanding that it's a lot of unconscious patterns that they're dealing with when they're doing that, because you recognize it within yourself when you're dealing with your own, and you're working hard to be better every day. So that too, it's the same coin off from the same side. In a place where it's so easy to be successful, it's equally just as easy to be lazy and not do anything. So, of course, we always admire those that do something, because it's easy to be lazy now. So it's very difficult. You can't be judging of what is happening if you understand that it's the same side of the same coin. So always be patient with yourself and be loving towards yourself, especially in this moment. I always bring this back to, and I always speak in this channel, not just what comes through because I do channeling and downloads, but I also speak from my heart and from my experience, because that is the biggest part of this channel, of my authenticity that I'm bringing, is something that's real and it's raw, and it's difficult sometimes to, you're putting a part of yourself out there, but I'm doing this in an act of service, in an act of love. And it's warming in my heart to know those that are receiving it. But I also want to say to those that are in this journey and probably will continue helping other people, I want to remind you that when you are in this difficult environment where your kindness is getting used and abused and it's difficult, I really want to remind you all, empaths out there, that continue to stand in love. Trust that the highest, greatest good always takes care of you, always protects you, no matter what. And sometimes we can get out of situations easier. Sometimes it's more difficult because there's a lesson that we need to see and that we need to learn, that we need to be patient and let it unfold, and trust that everything that doesn't serve us will eventually leave us. So I'm sending love to all of you that are constantly, no matter what is happening to you, continuing to stand in love. You're so strong, and the world really needs you, because there's more awakening than ever at this time. And we should not fall into these traps of starting to hurt, even though that it can be very tempting when people do these vicious things, and it can feel so disgusting from a human perspective that how could someone do this? Like, how can they just with their heart, knowing that they are doing this horrible thing, continue to do it. And again, this is their patterns. This is their programming. This is how they view the world. So there is something that's shut off that they don't understand. And that's their journey, just as equal as this is your journey. So if we can just spread that energy so that it can benefit everyone, we can actually understand the human in a different level. And we can heal. And we can stay in balance both with Mother Earth, with nature, and with ourselves, because we haven't understood what human actually is. Human is a very dangerous species because we can be dangerous to ourselves. And therefore, if each and every single one of us examine ourselves and makes the best version out of ourselves, that is how we can grow. That is how we can support each other without actually even physically helping someone else. Now, for empaths, there is energy at place that are affecting you. And don't forget that God gives those tasks to those He knows can handle it. So your soul has been here. You know this. You got this. Or wherever you are in your journey, the beginning, the end, or you're just hearing this as an affirmation for the 1,000th time, I want to remind you, every speaker, just as me, right now, I might have makeup on one day and another day no makeup, and these are just clothes and just an avatar that you can, just like in a game, you can change clothes and it's nothing, really. So, of course, there are two sides of the coin. You can see some and say, okay, this one is in the program and they're not fully understanding. I can see them on the way that they're putting their clothes on them, the way that they are. And still, I want to remind you all, it's the same side of the coin. There are some that are aware, but that are not living as peace people with natural, completely natural, full natural. You have to be in moderation too. We have to understand that it is a balance of both. Because every time we go to an extreme, it's not going to work because we are here on earth and we are in oneness. So every time we go to the extreme of one or the other, we're causing damage to the whole picture. So to stay in the middle is the best pathway because we can moderate of what we're doing as long as we're conscious. So if I were to put makeup on because I'm insecure, that would be something negative. But if I'm just putting makeup on because I'm an artist and I like art and that is how I want to express myself that day, and I understand why I'm doing it, then it becomes a different thing. So we have to understand that every speaker has something to say, no matter how they look or what they say. If we can go beyond the superficiality, if we can go beyond that and understand that this is just an avatar, we can play with it how we want, to not put so much focus in that, but to go to the heart of it, to go to the heart of the vibration of that person. You know, when we can feel in the vibration of a person, when a person speaks something or says something and we're like, they're saying that, but the vibration is so off, something's off. That's exactly that. If we just follow that energy, we will understand that the attention is the most important thing. What is the attention? So follow the speakers that have the attention of love and always take what resonates with you and always leave the rest behind. That is what I want to talk about in this podcast, because many of you will encounter when that day comes when you're looking at something and you're like, no, this is not it. I want something, I want higher teachings. I want it to be a certain way. No, you need to just let it go and understand, because if it's happening in your reality, whatever it is that you're watching, it is still energy that is with you or connected to you that you need to understand. Because when we understand something and we see it, it kind of disappears. It moves away. But as long as it can be hidden, it will continue to try to manipulate or come in and try to use and abuse. So I hope that this was useful, and I thank you all for being here. I always enjoy sharing these podcast episodes with you. Thank you for watching, and make sure to look at my other channel that has tarot cards and a lot of different things. But on this channel, we're just focusing on observation of life. So thank you for being here. And as always, have a wonderful day, you all. Sending love your way. Bye.